In the heart of Manila, an Herrera mansion holds dark secrets. Two detectives, one by the book and the other a wild card, must solve a chilling murder.
The opulent Herrera mansion loomed over the sleepy town of Tiong, its ornate facade casting long shadows in the late afternoon sun. Inside, the atmosphere was thick with the clamor of the affluent socialite crowd gathered for another lavish party hosted by the flamboyant Pablo Mentiroso. Known for his ostentatious displays of wealth and his obnoxious arrogance, Pablo's parties had become a frequent topic of gossip among the locals. Little did they know that this party would take a dark turn. Senior Detective Vic Malapad loathed events like these. He stood by the grand entrance, an impenetrable wall of seriousness amidst the laughter and music. He scanned the faces of the attendees, his sharp gaze catching every flicker of emotion. His partner, the exuberant rookie detective Joseph Villasog, stood at his side, a vibrant contrast with a broad smile plastered on his face. "Vic, look at this place," Joseph exclaimed, eyes wide with enthusiasm. "Can you believe it? Diamonds, silk, and more food than anyone could eat in a month." "Focus, rookie," Vic replied tersely, pulling out his notebook. "We're here for a reason." Inside the mansion, Pablo flaunted his wealth as if it were an endless treasure, wearing a golden suit like a badge of honor. He bellowed laughter, mingling with guests, while Rose Lisanig, his much younger girlfriend, stood a few steps behind him. She wore a delicate white dress that seemed to clash with Pablo's gaudy appearance. Her eyes, a deep shade of conflict, darted toward Manuel Palantag, her friend, who stood quietly clutching a drink. Manuel's heart sank every time he watched Rose plaster on a smile, pretending to adore her arrogant partner. In truth, Rose was trapped. Her family's dire financial situation nudged her closer to Pablo, whose wealth could change everything. But beneath the facade of longing and desperation, Rose held on to a flicker of rebellion. Meanwhile, the loyal butler, Jose, moved through the crowded hallways with practiced grace, ensuring his master's guests lacked for nothing. Despite his mistreatment by Pablo, he remained steadfast in his duties, his loyalty masking a growing bitterness towards the man he served. He caught snippets of conversation and secrets whispered in corners, learning more than he cared to know. As laughter erupted in the main hall, a blood-curdling scream shattered the festive atmosphere. The music ceased abruptly, and all eyes turned toward the source, a lavishly decorated study where Pablo had retreated for a moment of solitude. Rushing towards the noise, Vic and Joseph pushed through the crowd, moving with purpose. Inside the study, horror awaited them. Pablo lay sprawled across the opulent carpet, a silver letter opener buried deep in his chest. His eyes stared blankly, forever frozen in a mix of shock and disbelief. The room was in chaos, glasses shattered, and a floral arrangement skewed as if the madness had erupted only moments ago. "Secure the area!" Vic ordered, his voice cutting through the chaos. Joseph rushed to the door, guarding the exit before returning to scan the room. Guests peered in, their faces a portrait of horror. Who would do this? Joseph wondered aloud, his excitement now replaced with trepidation. Vic knelt by the body, his analytical mind racing. "Someone with a motive," he muttered. "We need to question everyone who was in here." As the duo began their inquiries, the perspectives of those surrounding Pablo began to form a complex tapestry of motives and alibis. Rose stood apart from the others, tears glistening in her eyes. But it was a mixture of grief and relief that twisted her beautiful features. Though she would never admit it, she had fantasized about a life free of Pablo's controlling grip. Could this be fate? No, she thought, it was wrong to feel such relief. "Did you see anyone enter the study?" Vic asked, his gaze fixed on her. Rose shook her head, the fear palpable in her voice. "No, I was outside the whole time." "It wouldn't surprise me if it was one of his enemies." Pablo had a way of making people resent him, Manuel chimed in, trying to mask his own conflicting feelings. "Or a member of his household," Vic responded, eyeing the butler Jose who stood silently in the corner. "I was in the kitchen preparing the tray with the hors d'oeuvres," Jose interjected, his voice shaky. "I'm loyal to Pablo despite how he treated me." Though Vic noted his loyalty, The detective's instincts whispered something about the butler's unwavering disposition. It was too convenient, too rehearsed. "Where was the maid during the incident?" Joseph asked, now keen on piecing together the puzzle. "Mia? She was busy cleaning the ballroom," Jose answered, his tone conveying a hint of defensiveness. Just then Mia stepped into the study, damp cloth in hand, her face pale as she took in the horror. "I heard the scream while I was in the ballroom. I rushed to see what happened." "I need everyone to remain calm. Nobody leaves until we sort this out," Vic announced, his voice firm. As the guests began to murmur among themselves, an unsettling realization settled in the air. The murderer was among them. A mix of fear and tension rumbled through the room, creating an atmosphere thick enough to slice through. Vic and Joseph continued their investigation, meticulously questioning each person present, but the web of contradictions complicated the truth. Motives emerged: jealousy, anger, and schemes cloaked in financial desperation. Standing in the corner, a realization gnawed at Joseph. Rose's conflicted expression hadn't escaped his notice. She had stared at Pablo with a mixture of longing and horror, but when their gazes met, something inexplicable sparked. In that brief moment, he sensed a kindred spirit. A struggle he couldn't quite articulate, but felt profoundly nonetheless. After several hours of investigation, Joseph couldn't shake the feeling that the answer lay hidden in human emotion. He sought out Rose once more. "Is there something you want to tell me?" He pressed gently, sensing her unease. Rose bit her lip and hesitated. "I didn't like Pablo, but I didn't wish him dead. Though his arrogance, it felt suffocating." The tension in the room had reached its breaking point. When Vic finally pieced together the final clues, drawing everyone's attention. "It is the butler's loyalty that conceals the truth," he declared, locking eyes with Jose, who flinched. "You witnessed Pablo's cruelty firsthand. Betrayed by the very person you served." As the room erupted into a cacophony of accusations and pleas, it became clear that the truth lay not in a single actor, but in the collective chaos that had coalesced around Pablo's brutality.
The darkness unveiled a spectrum of motivation twisted into a chilling reality.
Pablo may have been the monstrous titan of his own making,
But the struggles of those around him, a combination of loyalty and disdain, mirrored a truth that no amount of wealth could obscure.
darkness had sewn itself into the fabric of Herrera Mansion, and with each passing heartbeat, the shadows whispered more secrets desperately waiting to be unearthed. As Vic collected his thoughts, he couldn't help but glance at Rose, whose expression reflected a tempest of pain and hope. The intricacies of human emotions were a far more terrifying mystery than the one he had set out to solve.
Together, the two detectives set to work unraveling the tangled web of lies, born from ambition, desperation, and a yearning for freedom, knowing all too well that the mansion,